welcome to Stampin' by Hannah here on YouTube. I am in the middle of a mess. I've decided this week not to start with my face, but rather just to start looking at my work desk, because last week was a bit of a disaster, wasn't it? Trying to get my my face on, and everybody the right way up and everything. So I decided this week it was easier just to start by looking at my desk. How is everybody? I hope you are all really, really well. I am just trying to check that this is actually live and everything's going okay. It is. We are, I believe, live on YouTube. There's a live button with the image on, so I'm guessing that's right. So, hi Louise, lovely to see you. How are you doing? I have 2 cards for you this week using the Artfully Composed suite. I have got every single catalogue on my desk at the moment. Hi Julie, hope you're well as well. Am I seeing you soon, Julie? I'm not sure if I am. Are you coming? We have Julie is one of the lovely ladies in the team that I'm part of, and we have a team event coming up. I'm so excited. I think we've got about 10 days to go. I can't wait. So, products I'm using today are from the mini catalogue. Now, sorry, very quickly, just gonna have to rearrange myself. I've slightly rearranged my desk to do lives, and I am sat down, which never ever happens, because we're going to do some colouring in today. So I sit on a stool and not a chair, so I have to raise my feet up, and my footstool wasn't in the right place. Right, anyway, hopefully we'll get there. So this week we are using products from the January to June mini catalogue. Now this isn't the catalogue that's about to retire. This is the catalogue that's about to retire. So when people start talking about retiring products, they're in this book. They're not all of these books. Not the whole of this book is retiring, but some of it is. And it's been replaced with this beautiful book. This one starts on the 3rd of May. If you would like a copy, just drop me a message, and I can get one in the post to you. I am still waiting on mine. My delivery of them hasn't arrived yet. I have a box of stuff that is currently sat in Frankfurt. It's been sat in Frankfurt since Saturday morning, and it hasn't moved. I don't really know what's happening. I'm hoping UPS are going to sort me out. Anyway, what we're using today is all in the mini catalogue, which doesn't retire until the end of June. And we are playing with the Artfully Composed suite. I absolutely love this suite of products. It is just stunning. The designer scissors paper I will show you in detail in a second. The stamp set, I love every single bit of it, but this page is what sold it to me just looking through the catalogue. It's just beautiful. But there's quite a bit in this suite. So, and as always, worth pointing out, if you see a suite page like this, there will be one item number on this page. It will get you everything in the suite. So, in the Artfully Composed suite, we have the Artfully Layered stamp set. Now can you see why I love this suite so much? This font, you guys know I am such a font girl. I love a good font, and these are just beautiful. Then you've got a couple of really nice, really good basic stamps and a bit of background imagery. This stamp set is just so perfect. There is a fabulous set of coordinating dies that go with this. So you've got dies that cut out the stamped images. Sorry, what did... Louise, I am tempted. You need to now sell the suite to me. I'm going to sell this suite to you, Louise, because this suite is just... This might be... It's not my favourite from this catalogue, because my favourite is the one with the hexagons in it. But, which I now can't remember the name of, but this is my second favourite. You've got dies that cut out the stamped images. You've got dies that cut out detailed versions of those images. You've got fabulous background pieces. You've got a couple of dies that do texture. You've got this fabulous leaf, which looks like these, but works differently because, you know, this is, you're going to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little leaves that you can scatter all over your card. It'd be fabulous. And then you've got this die, which is just the most beautiful edge ever. And I've used it today. I've already done that bit of die cutting, but we have got some die cutting today. So there's the dies, which I'm now going to shift about because I need one of those. Then we've got the faux sea glass shapes. They're so pretty. Really love those. We have got some beautiful, beautiful soft ribbon. I'm going to use in a slightly unusual way, I think, today, but it's just beautiful. It has a little bit of a sparkle to it. I don't know if my lights are going to quite pick that up, but it's lovely. There is some fabulous vellum in this suite as well. I've not pulled that out of my box because it's just, there was too much on my desk. And then you've got this designer series paper. Now, my pack looks a mess because I've cut into it because I love it so much. But can you see, it's just, the colours in this are just fabulous. We have, I love that Stampin' Up now do this, so they put it nice and big on the bottom of the page, just as a complete cheat. So we've got Calypso Coral, Pale Papaya, Pear Pizzazz, Evening Evergreen, Just Jade, and Mint Macaron. Now, Just Jade is retiring at the end of this month. However, I think that this paper also works with Bermuda Bay really well, and therefore I actually have been using it with Bermuda Bay and not Just Jade. I'm not sure if that's a typo. But anyway, that's what it says in the book. But so we've got the, look at this, just stunning. You see, I've got scraps coming out of everywhere. Just beautiful paper. This, I think this is the only piece of paper I've got left of this particular print because I just love that stripe. This piece is a basic white in there as well. A really fun dot, which looks black, but actually I think is Evening Evergreen. Beautiful print on the back of that one. And then, what's this last one? Look at that. That's so much fun. And you can actually, you've got those little leaf kind of heart prints on that one. Is that a lot? I think that's it. But I mean, it's just so bright and so much fun. This designer series paper is featuring in my card club for May, which I designed all my cards for last night. Card club is so, I love card club. I'm having an absolute blast with it. It is a monthly club. It costs you £12.50 to join it. Runs for 6 months. It will, you know, it can be allowed to roll on longer than that if that's your choice. You get a complete card kit every month that makes 3 cards, and you get the envelopes and an exclusive video, and there's always something in the box from me. You can also add the stamp set to that kit, and I'll send you an extra or combine the invoice for that. So I have ladies that join in who just say, just send me the stamps every month. I want the stamps as well. And that's great. So if you want to join in with Card Club, do let me know. Like I said, I've got 2 cards today. I have got one that is inspired by the current Global Design Project sketch, and one that was inspired by an artisan. So, shall we get crafting? Because I've been talking for nearly 10 minutes already and we've not made anything yet. So, I've also got my Diet Coke because I can't craft without Diet Coke. And put that nicely out of the way so I don't knock it over. So, the sketch for the Global Design Project this week is basically a slimline card with a circle on it. So I've sort of gone, well, that's very nice. I do like a slimline card. I don't make them very often, but because of this card, I have put a slimline card in my card club. But it's very nice, but it needs zhuzhing a bit, doesn't it? So I've also grabbed obviously artfully layered. I've got a piece of vellum and a piece of a scrap piece, and it's so scrapped because it's actually got score marks on it already. This is Evening Evergreen. And I thought we'd do something. I'm going to try something that I've never done before. I don't know if it's going to work. So this is a slimline card. The way I cut my slimline cards, it's 21 centimetres, so it's the width of A4 by 15.8. So it's literally half a piece of A4 cardstock. And then I've scored it in half, which is 7.4 centimetres. I'm just going to score that, burnish that score line, so we've got a really flat card base. I have to say, I have no idea about the envelopes for this particular card or card measurements. And I know that Stampin' Up have some slimline envelopes in the catalogue. I don't know if this fits because I haven't checked, because I haven't had a chance, because today's been a little bit mental. Then I've got a piece of basic white that's cut half a centimetre shorter and narrower. I've already gone ahead and used my layering circles dies just to die cut a circle of that designer series paper. Then I thought, scary, that we would use this die. Now this is probably my favourite die of the whole collection. I just love it. I don't know what it is about it, I just think it's fabulous. And do a couple of leaves and then the sentiment. So I'm keeping it really simple, but I'm going to die cut this from vellum and from the Evening Evergreen. But we always have the problem, don't we, with how do we stick vellum, which is see-through, let's be honest, onto something. It's always awkward. So I thought I would try using the adhesive sheets. Now I talked about these last week with when I was talking about Waves of the Ocean, and the Waves of Inspiration stamp set, because you've got that fabulous wave die that really needs this adhesive sheet behind it, because it's just really awkward otherwise to stick down. So, but I didn't get a chance to show you, so I thought I would today. So all I'm going to do is I literally layer up. I've got my adhesive sheet, and then I've got my piece of vellum or cardstock, and then I've got my die that I want to die cut, and I'm just going to kind of very loosely cut so I know how much vellum and how much adhesive sheet I'm going to actually need. I do not measure everything with a ruler, because I just haven't got the time or the patience, to be quite honest. So I'm going to do exactly the same with my piece of Evening Evergreen. And I would, to be honest, would not always use this much either. Sorry, my left-handedness is getting in the way. I would kind of probably, she says, use slightly less cardstock if I wasn't on video. This adhesive sheet is fabulous stuff. I'll do it on the back of the cardstock first, because it might be easier to see. So you've got on back, let me show you. I'm sat underneath the light bulb, so you've got awful shadow. The adhesive sheet, when we've got the big piece, which way around is it? That way. Can you see there's two, if you can actually, two sort of lines on it, because you've got 3 strips of carrier paper. So if we take off what I try as well to cut it so that I've always got a piece of carrier paper left, so that I can literally just stick that on there and then take that piece of carrier paper off. I've been to see my nail lady today as well, so I've got brand new nails on. I don't know what it is about having brand new nails on. It means I can't grab hold of anything at all. So we'll do exactly the same then with the piece of vellum. So we're just literally sticking that straight onto the back, taking that carrier paper off. Like so, and I've got a bit of sticky sticking out the edges, but that's okay. So I am then, she says, this is the bit where it gets a little bit scary, because I'm going to try and die cut on camera, which is not something I do very often because my camera setup's a bit wobbly. So, let's turn it around so I've actually got the handle. So here I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I have got my sandwich for my thin dies. So that I love this machine because it's got all the instructions printed on the board. So you need plate number 1, which is the big thick one, plate number 2, which is your shim, and then a clear plate. Then we're going to pop down our cardstock that's got that adhesive sheet on the back, our die with the cutting edge down, put another sheet, cutting plate on the top, and we're going to run that through. I'm going to move it a little bit because, like I said, we're a little wobbly. I've moved, my grid paper's moved, everything's all over the place. I have a stack of grid paper at the moment because I've got some left over from an event and all sorts. I think I've got 2 pads of paper as well because one's running out. And anybody else do that where they sort of stack random bits of grid paper up together? Maybe just me. So I'm going to use my take a pick to pick out that die, and then we're going to do exactly the same. So I want to make sure that I've got the vellum layer on the top, and I'm going to run that straight through the cut and emboss machine. She says, try not to wobble the camera too much. Right. See, I knew it would wobble. There we go. Right. So, let's hold that back out of the way. So now we've got 2 leaves. One that is vellum and one in the evening evergreen colour. And we're trying, there we go. Where's my die set gone? Already lost everything on my desk. So let's bring this card base back in. And what I want to find something to make that I can do with the offcuts of this die, because there's something about these dies. They're just really cute. But they're the inside of a leaf, like what are you going to do with it? But I don't like throwing it away. It's really sad, isn't it? Oh dear. So we have got 2 leaves and our card. So let's get the Stampin' seal out and start layering this card up. We also need a sentiment for it as well, don't we? But we'll stamp that in a second. So, Stampin' seal on the back of our piece of basic white. Just like that. And I'm going to pop some seal as well on the back of our circle. And like I said, this has got leaves already on it. But they're different from the ones that I've die cut, which is absolutely fine. And so fun. I love the colour combination. Can't get enough of that at all. So the problem with these leaves is they get intertwined. It happens to me a lot. Right. So now you've got your cardstock die cut with your adhesive sheet on the back. Trick here, I think a take a pick tool is key to this bit. Trying to get this carrier paper off. It can be a little bit tricky, particularly with a really fiddly die like this one, where you've not got a lot. I mean, can you imagine trying to stick this with wet glue or anything else? It's just going to be really difficult. You know, you wouldn't use a Stampin' Dimensional on it, would you? It's just too thin. But the adhesive sheet makes this really easy, because now it's one great big sticker. So can you see? I don't know if you can see actually. There's like a sheen on the back, and that's because it's all sticky. The whole thing. So I'm going to pop that down about there. Like that. So the whole thing is stuck. Isn't that cool? Now this might be a challenge because I've now got to take it off the back of some vellum. Oh dear. I did say this might not work. It is, Julie. The adhesive sheet is so good for intricate dies. It's just the only way sometimes, I think, to do it. And I'm hoping this is going to work, because normally you can see the adhesive through vellum, but if the adhesive's like all the way across the vellum, then surely it should all just look the same, shouldn't it? So we're going to stick that, and I'm going to pop that so that the like kind of two bottoms are in the same place, but I've sort of moved the leaf off. And then just there. Oh, and that's really pretty, isn't it? It's just that really subtle leaf on the top. So the next thing I need is a scrap of basic white, which I had plenty of before. There we go, I'll have this piece. And we need our sentiment. So let's go with Hey There. I think this is a really cute little stamp. I haven't even decided what colour I'm going to stamp this in. That's how organised I am. So I've grabbed, for this particular card, I've grabbed Calypso Coral, Evening Evergreen and Mint Macaron. Because I couldn't decide what... The card base is Mint Macaron, so I think we'll do mint. We'll see what mint looks like. We can always stamp it again. Because it is just ink. Ink and cardstock. Doesn't matter if you've made a mistake, because usually it's not really a mistake, it's just a happy accident. There we go. Now then, I'm going to do something that I know some people go, oh my god, I couldn't do that. I'm going to snip out the sentiment. You could grab your stamping trimmer or another tool if you really wanted to. But I just find that way is quicker. And I quite like the kind of ever so slightly jaunty effect of it. And then I'm going to pop that about there. Need some Stampin' Dimensionals. Brand new sheet. Brand new sheet. There's something very, very nice about a brand new sheet of Stampin' Dimensionals. And then I'll pop that on there. And I think this might need some faux glass as well, just to finish it off. I keep my embellishments in the plastic packaging, so I have used this, admittedly only once, but I have used it. It's not a brand new pack. The blue or the green? That's a tricky decision, isn't it? I think this feels like Pool Party to me. What does the catalogue say? It says just jade, all olive and white. That feels a lot more like Pool Party, but it does, I think, what do you think? It does work with the mint, doesn't it? So let's go for some decent sized pieces. They do range in size, so this side are kind of bigger than that side. I'm going to do a trio of our sea glass shapes. Because, as always, I like a 3. I do. There. Make a triangle and it just makes your eye happy. Or it makes mine happy anyway. And that is my card for the Global Design Project this week. So this will be going up on my Instagram tomorrow. And possibly a blog post. But definitely my email, if you are subscribed to my emails. If you're not, you should be. Do consider subscribing. The link for that should be in the down bar below. If it's not, it will be, but at the end of this video I'll make sure it goes there. So that is card number 1 for today. The next card again uses the Artfully Layered stamp set. I'm going to have a slurp of my Diet Coke a second. Again uses the Artfully Layered stamp set, and Stampin' Up posted a project by one of the artisans, I think either yesterday or the day before, and I just thought, oh, this is perfect for this week. I'd seen a card a few weeks ago by Stacey Marsh where she did kind of no-line colouring with this stamp set, with this leaf, and I just thought it was so pretty that I had to have a go. So I've combined kind of two other people's ideas for this card, but that's okay, isn't it? That's casing. That's copy and selectively edit. So I had a bit of a play about with this earlier on. Managed to get a double nap out of my children on a Wednesday, which never happens. And I did this. So I've stamped this. I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. I stamped this. in soft seafoam and then coloured it with some green inks using watercolour. And I'm going to do something similar, but I'm not going to layer them together. I'm going to stamp them on separate pieces. So I've got 2 pieces of the Fluid 100 watercolour paper. I've also already gone ahead and die cut a piece of the designer scissors paper. This was an 8x8cm square, but I've used that fabulous edge die, which has got stitched markings on it, which just makes me really happy. And I've got a bit crumb cake card base. So, again, we'll take this stamp, and I have got 4 green inks. Now, I do apologise for the state of my ink pads. Something happens to ink pads in the sun, and the ink pads go a little bit yellow, and the stickers fade a little bit. My ink pads now don't live in the sun, so this shouldn't happen anymore. But I do have some kind of funky coloured ink pads. You can tell which ones are new and which ones are a little bit older in my ink pad collection. So I've got Soft Seafoam, Pear Pizzazz, Old Olive and Mossy Meadow as a kind of trio of the same sort of tone of green. I'm going to stamp the big leaf in Soft Seafoam first. I'm going to stamp it once on this piece. And I love this colour. It's really very, very pretty. And then once on my scrap. Like that. And then take that stamp off that because I need this. Because we're going to do watercolour. Now, I know that a lot of people use the watercolour brushes. I can't get away with them. I don't know what it is. I think I'm probably just a little bit heavy-handed and I can't get away with them. So I use a stamping block. I get a spritzer that lives with water in it just because it's a convenient way of keeping water in my office. So I squirt some water on there. I have a very little artist paintbrush. This is, yeah, it's a Pro Art size 2. I've had it in my craft room forever. I've got a stack of from when I used to paint a lot. So yeah, it really doesn't matter what quality paintbrush you choose to use. Go to one of your big box craft places or a supermarket and get a paintbrush these days. So I have got Pear Pizzazz first. I'm going to use this piece. This is actually going to go straight onto our card. So all I've done to get ink in this well here is squeeze the ink pad together. Forgot to do that step because I'd done it earlier, so I know that the ink is there. So if you squeeze the ink pad, it does take a little bit of force. You will then get a well of ink in that lid. It worked better with the old style of ink pads, but it does still work with this, with the new ones. And I'm literally just going to go over the leaf with the kind of watered down ink. Now you could, instead of, if you really struggle to squeeze your ink pad, because it can be quite stiff, you could also grab a re-inker and pop a dot of re-inker onto your stamping clear block, and then do it that way. Yeah, totally up to you. I find ink pads easier just because I'm really good at making a mess. And I try, she says, to limit the amount of mess that I make in my craft room, because quite often, because I've got small children, my craft room gets invaded, or somebody wakes up, or something happens and I have to kind of down tools quite quickly. So if I've got things like spots of ink out and about, I can guarantee that either one of the children will magically find their way up to my desk, which is why my desk is high up, but it's always a possibility, or the cat will get up here and she likes to stand on my desk and make a mess. So I'm just going to put the stem in there. And I'm not doing anything particularly fancy here. I'm literally just laying down flat colour all over. And it will, because it's watercolour paper, and I've used 2 water-based inks. So all Stampin' Up inks are water-based. The Stampin' Up kind of classic inks are water-based. So the ink underneath will move a little bit, but because we've picked a really light colour, that's absolutely fine. You won't be able to tell. So there is one leaf that now looks, can you see, like you've watercoloured it. But really all you've done is coloured it in. I think it's so fun, really quite cool. So I'm going to put my Pear Pizzazz away, and I'm going to grab my old olive. I might need a little bit more water on my block because I've had it on an angle and it's all run away. Because of the way, like I said, my the setup for my camera for these lives is a little bit funky. So there's ever such so slight kind of slope on my grid paper, and all the water's run off my clear block onto my grid paper and through probably onto my desk to make an absolute mess. So this is Old Olive, which is a little bit of a darker colour than Pear Pizzazz, but I think that they work really, really well together. And you can water this down, so you could get an even lighter shade or a really dark shade. So if I add some darker, kind of more concentrated ink, you can see that you can create kind of that light and dark in your watercolour really easily. I'm just going to put that stem in as well as we go along. And I am going to go back in and add a little bit more kind of shading to these. Once we've laid down all of this flat colour, we can go back in, and it doesn't matter that it's dried. You can do it as you go along, so you can do it, while the ink is still wet. But you can also go back in once that ink is completely dry for a different sort of effect. So on my original, you can see that I've got darker here and lighter up here, and I've stamped it exactly the same way, but I've added Mossy Meadow to some of these. So I'm going to do that exactly the same to this this leaf. I'm going to die cut as well. That's going to go on the top. So really quickly, anybody else find these videos, like watching other people colour, really therapeutic? I've got a thing at the minute about I'm really struggling to sleep, and I go to bed earlier and earlier and earlier and end up watching videos of like people like, what have I got so far? Making tables, like woodwork. There's a guy, did you know there was a guy on YouTube that cuts cows' feet? And quite a popular channel, has an awful lot of subscribers, but you're like, why would you want to watch somebody cut cows' feet? I do. Actually do. Now, this is my Mossy Meadow ink pad, and if you can see, it's gone bobbly. It's because, oh gosh, the pigment in Mossy Meadow, and a lot of the highly pigmented inks, the pigment starts to come out. All you need to do is scrape it off, and then re-ink the ink pad. I just haven't had chance to do it yet. Oh, that was a bit dark. That's okay, we can lighten that up. A bit more water on. Oh, she says. Normally I have a rag on my desk, but I don't today. Oh, because I've moved my entire setup over. I've moved the rag that I usually use onto the floor, and I am not about to lean down and get it, because if I try that, everything will fall on the floor. If you've been here before, if you ever watched my Facebook lives, you'll know everything falls on the floor. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm happy with that. Isn't that lovely? Really, not massively complicated. Doesn't take a huge amount of time. but gives you a really, really sweet effect. And actually what I think the artisan had done was this kind of similar sort of technique, but with watercolour pencils instead, which again would work just as well. So I had a sketch for this card as well, which I've now covered up. So I can't remember where I was going with it next. Here we go. So I need my card base. I'm going to leave those two to dry a second, and I'm going to grab my crumb cake ink. I do need another stamping block though, so I'm going to have to get up to get that. Always something that I forget. For one of these videos, always something I forget. I'm going to grab this stamp here, which is just like the perfect like hint of a background. It's very, very pretty. And I'm going to stamp that. And I'm going to stamp it once on my grid paper just to see how dark it is. And then, yeah, I think I'm going to do stamped off. Just to give a little something in the background. Not all over, but just kind of a little bit. I don't even know if you can see that. It's so light that I'm not even sure that the camera's picked it up. Oh no, it has. You see, and it looks a mess at the moment because everybody, you're looking at that going, what? But this is the thing, isn't it, about cards, that you then layer them up, and as you layer them up, the card comes together and it all starts to make sense. So, is that dry? Almost. Again, I need a sentiment. Let's bring back in my piece of basic white. I am going to grab the happiest birthday wishes, I think. And I'm going to stamp that in Old Olive. Old Olive or Calypso Coral? No, let's go with Old Olive. Just like so. Oh, which you completely missed because the bottom of my grid paper has been cut off. I am then going to just cut this out, and a more talented fussy cutter than me would probably go around and fussy cut it, and I think I have fussy cut this sentiment properly before, but yeah, not doing that on this video. This video is long enough without me doing detailed fussy cutting. But I think that is good enough. And then, we need to die cut again. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Again. And I have got the coordinating leaf die. Again, same sandwich, so I've got the base plate, the thin shim, and 2 of the cutting plates. So 1. Now, this is where do I just pray that this works, or do I go and grab a piece of washi tape? Shall we pray that this is going to work? To line that up, I 99.9% of the time use washi tape to keep my dies still when I'm die cutting. Because everything moves around on my desk, if you hadn't already worked that out. So, the die cutting machine's the wrong way around, so I'm just going to, there we go. Move all of that back into line. Do need to sort out the funny shadow on this video. And now we've got our die cut leaf. Isn't that really pretty? So, just, There's something sticky on that cutting plate as well because it's all stuck together. Just stack that back up. So we've got our card base, our piece of designer series paper, this piece of watercolour paper, our leaf and our sentiment. And there's one more element I want to add onto this card, and that is some of that fabulous ribbon. So I'm going to just kind of use my card as a kind of guide, and I'm going to chop some of that ribbon off. I do have ribbon scissors that only ever get used for ribbon. I think they were probably a home bargain special quite a long time ago, but they only ever get used for ribbon. So I'm going to just chop the kind of edge off of this. This is the frayed ribbon that is in the suite. And I absolutely love this. I am not a ribbon person. I try and kid myself every year that I'm going to become that person that uses all of the ribbon, and it just never seems to happen. Which edge did I cut off then? But this ribbon's lovely because instead of using it as a full piece of ribbon, you can sort of pull the threads out of it and get this kind of really nice, very delicate, I don't know what to call it really, yeah, thread. And it's lovely. So I'm just going to pull a couple more strands out. There we go. And you could also use that piece of ribbon. It would still, you know, that would look lovely on a project. It will probably go in the bin in my craft room, but it would, you know, other people would use that. I'm sure they would. If I try and keep all the bits like that in my craft room is not big enough. So let's get this card laid up. I'm going to just use my bone folder just to get a nice burnished edge so that lays a bit flatter. That's better. So, stamp and seal on the back of my designer series paper. And I'm going to just use my piece of watercolour paper just to position that where I want it. So, there. And I do want it a little bit wonky, because I like that wonky effect. Then I'm going to just rip the bottom of this, and I'm going to rip it on a bit of an angle so that it tapers down to one side. And all we're doing here is creating a little bit more dimension that I really like. So, stamp and seal on the back of that, and I've just used the last bit of stamp and seal in my runner. One of those days, people. I'm telling you, one of those days. Now it's moved. This is why the people use liquid glue, isn't it? Just me and liquid glue do not get on at all. That's never going to happen. Yeah, that's just run out. You can see it's run out because the reds come. The reds arrive. That means it's stop. Stop. Oh, what have I got spare? Have I got a, oh, I've got a spare one. Stamp and seal now comes in these cute little bags. So, never thought of doing what, Julie? Sorry, I missed that. Take that out of there. That in the bin. Oh, right. Oh, it's so sticky, this. You know, sometimes those really slick people on YouTube, I am not one of those at all. Right, let's take the old one out. They slip in really easily, these, so you literally, where the old one came from, the new one goes straight in. Just the best ever. There we go, and we can go again. So the next thing I need is to pop a little bit of seal onto this, just where this leaf is, and find the end of my tape as well, because it's a brand new one. There it is. So, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to take this kind of random bits of ribbon, thread stuff, that is going to make an absolute mess. I will tidy it up a little bit so that it's across there, like so. Then I'm going to take a couple of dimensionals on the back of that leaf. Oh, it is happening, it is coming together, I promise. And I'm going to pop that there. And then another couple of dimensionals on the back of my sentiment piece. And we are nearly finished, folks. We have made 2 cards in 45 minutes, which I don't think is bad going. Freeing the ribbon. Yeah, it's, you know what, Julie? It's something that I do regularly for the amount of ribbon that I use, which is not a lot. So I'm actually going to pop another dimensional on the back of that side so that I can pop it up again. There, like that. And that is our 2 cards. How fun is that? I love that. Our 2 cards for this week. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Don't forget, if you are shopping in my online store in April, to use the Code Club code and join in with the Code Club and get yourself some free goodies. If you want to know more about the Card Club, just drop me a message. And if you got my email last week, you will know all about my In Colour Club that starts in May. The information is also over on my blog. Link should be in the down bar below. Over to that. If it's not, it will be very, very shortly. Thank you ever so much for joining me. I do hope that you have enjoyed my 2 cards using Artfully Layered. And I hope to see you again really, really soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.